Right. We could do Wednesday or we could skip, whichever is more convenient.
We'll rock and roll here on the show shortly. A lot to cover on the program. And we're going to talk Virginia and Virginia Tech. It's rivalry week with a berth on the ACC and the ACC championship on the line. Like and share the show. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet the show. Let us know, viewers and listeners, if you have comments or questions, put them in the feed and we'll relay them live on air. Very excited to connect with you on the I Love CVille network on a show that's features the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe.
That'd be good. Okay. We're getting ready to go on the air here with the other show. That do.
Get ready to rock and roll, viewers and listeners, as we have a good time today.
I'll plug that. Okay, sounds great. All right, we'll see you then.
Now you can grab his mic there, J-Dubs. Turn that one on. Guys, we're going to, Jerry Ratcliffe making moves over here. Not every day that you get a phone call from Jeff Jones. Your J&J show, the J&J show is fantastic. You guys are going to put that out. Did I overhear correctly on Wednesday?
Yeah, I wanted to avoid the Thanksgiving Day thing. We usually record that show on Thursday, but we're going to go Wednesday at 11 a.m. and have it in production later that day.
Stephanie Rhodes watching the program. She says, "Go Who's beat Tech." Amen, Stephanie Rhodes. If you're watching on YouTube, like and share the show. Vanessa Parkhill, welcome to the broadcast. We're going to get rocking and rolling, guys, here when you're ready on the Jerry and Jerry show. William McChesney, thank you for watching the program. We appreciate you, William. Judah Wickower, how are you looking on your end?
Pretty good.
Fantastic. We can rock and roll when you're ready, Judah. Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. My name is Jerry Miller. A pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network. We are less than 2 miles away from the John Paul Jones Arena and less than 2 miles away from Scott Stadium. We're on Saturday night under the lights on national television. The Virginia Tech Hokies invade Charlottesville and Wahoo Nation for a clash of epic proportions. An ACC championship on the line. Virginia is a clear-cut favorite to win, although that Las Vegas line is moving, ladies and gentlemen. It opened at 11.5 with Virginia a double-digit favorite to win. Now that line is down to 9.5 points. Regardless of what they win by, if the Who's do get a win, they have a chance at glory, a chance at championship trophies, and a chance, ladies and gentlemen, at the college football playoff. So much to cover on today's program, as Virginia is going to hopefully snap a generational curse. Virginia Tech has beaten UVA 19 out of the last 20 games and 23 out of the last 25 contests. Like and share the show if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. Put your questions and comments in the chat box, and we will relay them live on air to the star of our show, a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer who's a household name, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. Legitimately, as the program was starting, Jerry Ratcliffe was taking a phone call from former UVA coach Jeff Jones. Judah Wickower studio camera. If we can welcome our star, Jerry Ratcliffe, to the program. My friend Jeff Jones on the speed dial here for what has turned into a fabulous program, the J&J Show. You interviewed 4 of the top Kentucky recruits who chose the University of Virginia some time ago. I watched much of that show. That was absolutely fantastic.
It was a blast. We normally go like an hour, but that one went more than an hour.
That went a while.
Yeah, well, I think like 96 minutes, but we were having so much fun, and there were so many great stories being told. We just kept going on and on, but it was great catching up with those guys. I saw all of them but Lamp up at the Jimmy Graves memorial service when he passed a couple of weeks ago, but Lamp's out on the West Coast. But it was great seeing Jeff Lamp, Terry Gates, Lee Raker, and of course Jeff Jones, the four Kentuckians that came here to play for Terry Holland and reshaped Virginia basketball. It was just a blast.
A lot we're going to talk on the show today, including Virginia basketball, a loss to Butler, the first blemish on the season for Ryan Odom. The first blemish as a Virginia basketball coach for Ryan Odom. That is going to be at the back end of our show today. Football is front and center. And Hootie Ratcliffe, we start with scatter shooting with the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. It's rivalry week, my friend. Say that 3 times fast. Rivalry week. That ain't easy.
I'm not good with tongue twisters, but yeah, I've seen so many of these Tech and UVA games going back to the early years, and it's we've seen the good, bad, and ugly. Back when Virginia used to dominate with George Welsh for a while, well, Tech was dominating. Then George Welsh came along, and that win in '84 changed everything with Mikowski to Ford on the 4th and inches call that'll go down in history, and the catch by Ford, one of the best catches any of us have ever seen. And George always said, "Well, we had to beat them sometime. If we had to do it." And this was the year that we thought we could do it. So, ever since George retired, the wins have been few and far between, and some of them have been. There's probably at least 4 times I can remember, maybe 5, that Virginia should have won, had the game won, and choked and blew it. Probably the latest was 2020, when after they had beaten Tech the year before and gone to the Orange Bowl, and then the following year thought they had Tech on the ropes, so he had a first down around the 10, if I recall, and couldn't move the ball, and on 4th down with everything on the line, Robert and I made maybe the worst play call I've seen in my career.
Wow, in your career. I was going to say it's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Your career.
Yeah, when he threw the tackle-eligible play to a guy that was like 320 pounds or something, expected him to run 15 yards through the Tech defense, and that was doomed from the onset. But there's been a lot of thrills in this series over the years, but not a lot of joy for Virginia fans over the past 2 decades.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Ray Cadell watching the program. He says, "I'm a Hokie dad, and I'm a huge fan of Jerry Ratcliffe, and he's a huge fan of this show."
I'm a Hokie dad, too.
From Big Ray and the Cool
One of my daughters went to Tech.
I know you are. I know you are. William McChesney watching the program, the mayor of McIntyre. We have a lot of states watching the show, and of course we do. We have Virginia Tech week in our hands here in Charlottesville. The line starts at 11.5. It's down to 9.5. Hootie, what do you make of that?
Well, I never argue with the Vegas guys because they seem to always know what they're doing. Anytime I think that they've made a bad call, I'll look up at the scoreboard on Saturday night and see that they were exactly right. So you look back at last week's game, and Miami was up 20-3 at the Hokies at halftime, ended up winning 34-17, but they didn't seem to struggle too much, and a lot has transpired over the past week down in Blacksburg. Virginia's coming off the bye week, certainly diminished a little bit, but they would have rather kept playing because they just blew Duke's doors off down at Wallace Wade Stadium. They just dominated that game in every facet. Probably their best overall game of the year.
James Madison's watching in Mineral. He wants an update on Cam Robinson. Rainey Clark is watching. We have the local newspaper, TV station, and radio station watching the Jerry and Jerry Show as we speak. Viewers and listeners, if you have a question for the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, put them in the feed. We will relay them live on air. Hokie fans in the chat box like they were last week, all over the feed, talking some smack. We don't mind the smack talk, viewers and listeners. James Franklin was on the sidelines at the Miami matchup.
Yeah.
He was going around shaking hands. The excitement is clearly palpable at Virginia Tech, which we appreciate. Renee Pettiford says, hello, Jerry and Jerry. She wants to talk basketball and what we're doing for Thanksgiving. Renee, we'll get to that in a matter of moments. I'm a huge fan of Kite's Country Ham, not a huge fan of the turkey. I'm going to ask Jerry Ratcliffe that question as well. Turkey just makes me sleepy, and I find the meat to be too dry. The country ham I like. My friend, let's talk about the Virginia Tech matchup, however. Keys to the game for UVA. Keys to the game, then we'll get to the injury report.
I think it's all going to be decided down in the trenches. Not that it normally isn't, but I think a big emphasis this week on line of scrimmage. Virginia needs to go in and control the line of scrimmage and run the football. They've been really good at running the football. I was looking at some stats last night. Jamari Taylor is number one in the ACC in rushing yards with 917 and has the most carries of any back in the league with 187. And so he needs less than 100 yards to become a 1,000-yard rusher. Virginia hasn't had one since Jordan Ellis in 2018, and they haven't had a guy to lead the ACC in rushing since our good friend TJ Thomas Jones did it back-to-back in 98 and 99, and then Antoine Womack in 2003, straight years with leading the ACC in rushing. But I think Virginia has to control that facet of the game and give Chandler Morris all the protection he needs, because Carson Beck picked the Hokies apart last week. This blew me away. He completed 84% of his passes. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
27 of 32, had 4 touchdowns, well over 300 yards, but 84% is just unbelievable. Meanwhile, Tech's strength is the running game, and Virginia's going to have to try to make them one-dimensional because they can't throw the ball. They're not very good at throwing the football. Drones was only 12 of 21. That's 57% for 124 yards against Miami. So Virginia's defense needs to try to put the heat on Tech and make them a one-dimensional football team.
Cliff Daisy watching the program. He says, good morning, gentlemen. Wrapped up work this morning. Wishing you the best for Thanksgiving and all that you do here. Wishing I could attend the UVA-Virginia Tech matchup, but the night game prevents it. 7 p.m. kickoff. It's got a lot in Wahoo Nation rankled.
Yeah, I think they were hoping for at least a 3:30 game in the daytime, which would eventually turn to night by halftime, I guess. But there's been a lot of night games this year. I think this is the 6th night game of the season. And
good problem to have, though.
I guess it is, because you're in prime time, and there's a lot of eyes on things. But it can get really frosty in Scott Stadium at night in late November, and not that should be a deterrent, because that's the way it is in football. But some people with kids and stuff, it makes it a little rougher, and especially if they're having to drive a distance to get there, and if they're planning on going home after the game, it becomes a challenge.
What do you think the turnout's going to be? I mean, if there's ever a time to sell out Scott Stadium and get 63,000 fans, it's a team like this that is on the cusp of an ACC championship with a 9-2, 6-1 record, on a cusp of an ACC championship berth. Goodness gracious, if I see an overwhelming amount of Hokie fans in Scott Stadium with my own eyes on Saturday night, I certainly will be disappointed.
Well, that would be embarrassing if that happens. I could understand that some in the past because Virginia at that point of the season normally hasn't had much to play for. But this year they're playing for everything, and it's the most meaningful game here in a while. I know that all the student guest tickets have been sold out. Somebody said they're expecting in the 50s. I don't know. It certainly should be in the 50,000s, and it should be approaching a record crowd, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
The low on
But
Saturday,
I wouldn't be shocked if it did.
it's going to be a chili contest. Saturday night, the low is 21. The high on Saturday is 41.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant day to sit out for 4 or 5 hours.
That is to be cold. We're also going to see, I'm following the following here. This game means quite a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, like many of you that watch this program, I bleed orange and blue. Virginia Tech has won 19 of the last 20 games, 23 of the last 25. So the very large portion of my life, I've seen Virginia Tech dominate UVA. We're talking a generation of dominance here.
Right.
I'm watching closely on Saturday to see how the UVA students support this team on a holiday break.
I think, well, that's a good question.
Holiday break. They're not in Charlottesville.
Right.
Will they return and fill the hill? I'm very going to watch the fan base that can be fair weather at times and whether they show up, and most importantly, who has sold tickets to whom. Because Virginia Tech travels. And now we're starting to see.
They do. I'll give them credit for that.
We're seeing empty seats at Lane. Against Miami, there were empty seats at Lane, but Virginia Tech travels. So a lot to watch. And the 7 o'clock kick, I'm of the mindset, Vanessa Parkhill says she loves the night games, bundle up and have a great time. She's watching in Earlysville. I'm of the same mindset. It's a good problem because you're getting the primetime slots because you're winning ball games.
Absolutely. If you're a Virginia fan, this is fun. I mean, it's been a long time since they've been able to have this kind of success, and you should relish it because it's never guaranteed. I mean, you look around the country at teams like Florida State and Clemson, you never know from one year to the next if you might take a tumble. So enjoy it while you can. And, I mean, who knows what is in the offing if they can get through this game. Should be in the ACC championship game. And, if you're in that, it's 50-50 if you're going to the playoffs or not, because I think they can play with anybody in the conference. It most likely looks like SMU, but I mean, go out and enjoy yourself and have a big time. It could be a night to remember.
SMU, ladies and gentlemen, the Ponies are a very good football team. They travel to California. That's an 8 p.m. kickoff on ESPN2. The Ponies are a 13.5-point favorite. California just fired their head coach.
Yeah, Wilcox.
So watch that game closely. Mark Brown is a Wahoo fan. He's watching on one of the 15 Facebook pages this show is airing upon. He says, Virginia Tech always scares me. I think they will try to hurt Chandler Morris. Virginia Tech, his words, makes me want to vomit. If Virginia Tech was playing Russia, I would root for Russia. Jesus.
I'm sure there's a lot of fans that feel that way.
Tell us
and
how
probably
you really feel.
probably vice versa too. I'm sure Tech fans feel the same way.
Good Lord. Oh, Mark Brown, you gave a chuckle to both Hootie and I, but we respect your passion, my friend. All right, Cam Robinson's all over the feed. I can't avoid the question. Do we have an update on Cam?
Nothing official. That'll come at today's press conference, perhaps. We don't know exactly. Nobody's had any contact with the coaches or players since the Duke game with the bye week. And we have some spies that indicate that Robinson should be okay, but that's not official, and we won't know that until we hear Tony Elliott's report this later this morning, 11:30 this morning.
Warren Robert Childs, thank you for liking the show. We appreciate you, Warren Robert Childs. Put your comments in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Stephanie Wells Rhodes is a diehard UVA fan.
I will say this, though. Cam Robinson is a warrior.
Yeah.
This is the biggest game of his career.
Yeah.
Anything short of a broken leg is not going to keep him off the field.
I totally agree. He's played through so much pain. And while the knee injury looked pretty severe initially, it looked like it wasn't as bad as we thought.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry to interrupt you there.
knock on wood, no problem. If they play well, Stephanie says, we will be warm, jumping, clapping, and swaying to the good old song.
Yeah, there's ways to stay warm.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite ways to stay warm is the airplane bottles of bourbon that I have tucked in my belt that I'm sneaking into Scott Stadium. There's a lot of ways to stay warm.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put in perspective for the viewers and listeners the impact of a Cam Robinson to this team defensively. I mean, the impact is unquestioned. I mean, it looks like to me the best player on the roster.
Yeah, well, just the fact that number 5 is out there is inspirational to his teammates because he calls the defense. He's got tons of experience. He can make every play in the book. He's an exceptional athlete. He's tough as they come. He's like the boat that everybody raises the performance of everybody else. I talked to John Rudzinski, the Virginia defensive coordinator, before the Duke game, and I was just talking to him about what Cam brings to the game. And I said, I know you're a defensive coordinator, but if you're an offensive coordinator, you have to know where he is every moment of the game, right? And he said, oh, absolutely. He said and Al Groh, who I guess he got this term from coaching so long under Bill Parcells. He said, when there's a game wrecker on the other side of the line, you have to pay special attention to that guy every play in the game. So I guarantee you Tech's offensive coordinators are going to be monitoring every movement that Cam Robinson makes because he is a game wrecker.
Wesley Kinchelo, I apologize if I'm messing up your last name, Wesley. Thank you for watching the show. He's also wondering about Cam. Renee wants to talk Greenbrier, Butler, Ryan Odom, and UVA, which we will. She's also wondering about the Queens game on Friday. We'll get to those comments, Renee. We love when you watch the program. We appreciate your passion for basketball, Renee. I sincerely mean that. Comments continue to come into the onto the feed here. This is a very interesting one for Hootie Ratcliffe. If they, this is coming from Pennsylvania. It seems to me Virginia Tech's game plan should be stack the box, stop the run, and make UVA beat you with the pass. If they do that, is Virginia up to the challenge, Hootie?
I think they are because, like I said, Carson Beck last week completed 84% of his passes, and I think Chandler Morris is a very accurate thrower, particularly on the run, if they do load the box. But they're making them, you take what the defense gives you, and if they're going to give him short passes, he can pick you apart. And he's got plenty of targets.
Do you buy that the game plan against UVA is to stop the run, stack the box, stop the run?
Well, if they don't stop the run, they're going to be in trouble. Because then Virginia can do whatever they want. But so I would imagine that's where it starts. So they're going to try to stop the run and force Chandler to beat him with his arm, and he's well equipped to do that. And certainly I think he'll leave it all on the line. I think he'll probably play with abandon like he normally does, even though he's taking some shots. But I think he will run liberally if he has the opportunity.
We got some smack talk going on the feed on one of the 15 Facebook pages. Mark Brown said if Virginia Tech was playing Russia, he'd root for the Ruskies. Russ Melton on a different page is watching the program. He says, "Settle down there, Mark Brown. Go drink some Zimas."
And it starts.
I like it. That's what makes rivalry week so fun, ladies and gentlemen. What'd you make of James Franklin shaking hands and kissing babies at that Miami matchup?
I didn't see a whole lot of that because I was I can't remember what I was doing, but I didn't see a whole lot of that. I saw a little bit of it, but I'm sure he did the right thing. It was a big recruiting weekend. I think he was on the phone all week getting as many recruits as he could into Lane Stadium, and it was a smart move on his part. And there'll be a ton of recruits here on Saturday as well, Saturday night. I assume he'll make the trip up here. I don't know that, but I assume he will. If he was on the sidelines last weekend, he'll probably want to see what it's like this weekend. He's been to Scott Stadium before as an assistant at Maryland. In fact, I think he and Al Groh almost got into had to be pulled apart almost during the warm-ups, one of those games. But they've become friends since then, I think.
Jeremy Wilson watching the program in Eastern Tennessee. He says UVA needs to run up the score on Virginia Tech and show absolutely no mercy. I mean, there's certainly no love lost. And Wahoo fans certainly remember after Virginia Tech last clobbered UVA at Scott Stadium, the Hokies coming out of the tunnel, out of the locker room, and celebrating and dancing and stomping on the 50-yard line on the UVA logo before they were doused with the sprinklers as the sprinkler operator decided a coincidental, let's put it that way, sprinkler splashing was deserved for Virginia Tech.
Oops.
Oops. Yeah, but interesting. Carla made him apologize. Didn't understand that move. No mercy, UVA fans.
I would think that if Virginia would be in position to do that, they would, because payback is hell. And I'm sure they haven't forgotten 2 years ago. Might have been one of the best things that ever happened to Virginia football, because that awakened the money people. They were embarrassed, and they said, we're not going to let this happen again. And they have rolled out the money bags, and it has changed Virginia football. And so, yeah, I would think if they get Tech down and have a chance to pour it on, I think they will.
7 o'clock, ESPN national television. This is a matchup that I think Wahoo fans could potentially be talking about for a generation. I very well, if things go the right way, can see myself talking about this game with our 7-year-old son and our 3-year-old son. He turns 3 on Thanksgiving Day, where Virginia snaps a skid, reaches the ACC championship, and if the cookie crumbles the right way, secures a spot in the college football playoff. Hootie, did you ever think you would say that? Virginia college football playoff?
No, I didn't. But then again, I didn't ever imagine it expanding the way it has, and it looks like it will again. I know they've just extended the deadline to come up with a bigger playoff plan. The Big Ten wants 24 teams, and the SEC does not. But no, I didn't, because Virginia was so downtrodden. I just didn't see any way to change that under the old way of thinking. But now that they have embraced the NIL and wisely used that in the transfer portal, I don't think you could ever count Virginia out from this point on if things remain the same.
Amen, brother. Virginia atop the Atlantic Coast Conference standings with SMU and Pittsburgh. Based on tiebreakers, if all 3 teams win, UVA, SMU, and Pittsburgh, UVA and SMU would make the ACC championship based on tiebreakers. Pittsburgh, SMU, is there one that you like as a better opponent for Virginia?
I haven't seen that much of SMU, but you and I have talked about this ever since SMU came into the conference, that they take their football seriously out there. And I know a lot of the Big 12 people are giving them shade because they lost to TCU and Baylor. But SMU is a solid football program. And they're going to be a force in the ACC from this point on. And
You predicted that, Hootie.
People might as well get used to it.
Yeah.
There's so much money
Yeah.
thrown at that program from the oil men in Texas that they can't help but be good. And we all know what Texas high school football is all about. Billy Bob and Friday Night Lights showed us that a long time ago, but we knew it even before then. I remember I was covering a minor league baseball team in the 70s, and one of the summer baseball coaches was from Texas. He took that as a summer job to make some extra money, but he was saying, "Wow, in Texas, man, we coaches don't even teach classes. We just show up and coach and get paid like college coaches." It's they have some football talent and some big money in the big star state.
The first time a Billy Bob reference on the Jerry and Jerry show.
Yeah, I love Billy Bob.
I love Billy Bob. I love that movie. Love the whipped cream bikini from that movie. But I'm getting off track over here.
You are off track.
You remember that in the movie? I know you do as well.
I watch Billy Bob religiously on the Landman.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite actors.
Landman is a fantastic show on Paramount Plus.
Yes,
season 2 is underway. Are you watching Landman season 2?
I'm waiting on my gal to come back up from Atlanta, and I don't want to watch it without her. So.
Oh, you're a good man. Sometimes one of my the biggest gripes I get from my wife is we'll start a series together. I stay up way later than her, and when she wakes up the next morning, I'm 3 episodes ahead of her.
Yeah,
she hates that. She hates that. So you're a very good man right there.
I try.
The Cavaliers, here's an interesting wrinkle. UVA could lose to Virginia Tech and still weasel its way into the title game, but in that scenario, they would need both SMU and Pittsburgh to lose. The best case scenario is obviously, for all reasons, to beat Virginia Tech. The SMU matchup against Cal will not be decided until around midnight. Since it's an 8 o'clock kickoff, it's a West Coast game. The Ponies are a double-digit favorite. To Hootie's point, this is UVA's 6th night game of the season, all at home. UVA's 4-1 in those contests this season.
Should be 5-0.
Should be 5-0. 100% should be 5-0. Hootie Ratcliffe, could you put in perspective for the viewers and listeners the job this coaching staff has done and the accolades that could follow Tony Elliott?
It's remarkable, and it just goes to show what that people will tell you, and the old coaches will tell you. It's not the X's and O's; it's the Jimmies and Joes. And when you have the Jimmies and Joes, you can move those X's and O's a lot better, a lot more efficiently than you can when they're not talented. And I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll always continue to say it. Bear Bryant told me the whole key to football is recruiting, and you got to get the thoroughbreds. And he said, "You ever seen a jackass win the Kentucky Derby?" And he was right.
That's my favorite line that you get.
It's one of my favorite lines.
That's my favorite
history.
line. Yeah.
Something I'll never forget him saying. But you give coaches talent, and it shows you if they know what to do with it. And they're on the brink of winning 10 games. It's only been done once in UVA history in 138 years. I remember Al Groh talking about it. So he wanted a couple of years. He had a chance to get the 10 wins. He talked about it incessantly all week to his team about making history. Mike London, the same thing. Bronco Mendenhall, the same thing. It's really important to those guys to try to get a 10th win. I'm sure this coaching staff is not really talking much about that, but just focusing on winning. And it doesn't matter. Everything else will follow. But, if they do this, obviously Tony Elliott gets some bonuses. Some of his bonuses kick in. I don't know if the staff has those kind of things written into their contract or not, but there will be some ACC Coach of the Year accolades.
It's got to be the Coach of the Year.
Coming his way. You would think. Don't know who else it would be right now. And I know he's been nominated in some national Coach of the Year awards. He's been mentioned and nominated in some of those. So that can only help your recruiting and your fundraising and everything else. And I would assume you would be a contract extension as well.
Right. He goes from the least amount of wins in all of power football over the last 3 years to potentially an ACC championship berth and a college football playoff invitation. I mean, that's the makings of a Hollywood script and a national Coach of the Year from my standpoint, although my lens is skewed. Bobby Kohler, watching the program, he says Virginia Tech is going to do a trick play. UVA better be ready. Multiple viewers and listeners are warning, if not chastising, ticket holders to not sell their passes to Virginia Tech fans. Chad Wood is watching. He says, win and in, let's go Hoos. Bobby says they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us, would love nothing better than to be the spoiler of Virginia Tech. He's 100% right. I have a select few friends that are Virginia Tech fans, select few, and goodness gracious, they're already running their lips and talking smack. And they want nothing more than to be the spoiler here.
Yeah, I have some friends that are doing the same thing. Well, that's one thing in this series that has disturbed me in recent years is that Tech always comes to play with their hair on fire, and they do throw the kitchen sink at you. And I don't think Virginia has matched that intensity very often and has been less creative. I think for this game, you got to come up with some wrinkles and just, you don't hold anything back in this game. And I don't think some of the staffs in recent years have done that. So I think that's something that they need to do. And from what I understand, they are working on some new wrinkles over there to throw at the Hokies. So I'm believing that maybe they're taking this game more seriously than they ever have before.
I couldn't think of a better time for the bye week to come. I mean, it was just picture perfect, the potential bye week. Chad Wood says it's going to be cold. Keep that blood warm. And he says, wink, wink. I respond in the chat box to him. I already got my airplane bottles purchased, Chad. James Watson watching the program. You guys got one of the best shows out there. He says, but you got to give props to the athletic director. Lots of criticism from you fine gents 6 to 10 months ago, and now literally every team in UVA's portfolio is pretty much in the top 25. Also, the game time fan experience is incredible with all the lights, bells, and whistles based on the improvements to the stadium. I will be the first to say to James Watson, who's a friend of mine, that Carla Williams has absolutely answered the criticism. And I will also counter by saying the criticism was warranted at the time from the naysayers, which we led the charge on our platform. Got thousands of people watching us every week. We led the charge, but that criticism was warranted. And like in athletics and sports, it's how you respond to the criticism that determines winning and losing, character, resiliency, and she's responded admirably.
Well said, and I totally agree with you. And we have given Carla praises throughout the season about the turnaround and her hire of Ryan Odom, her hire of
the new baseball
coach, and making some facilities improvements and supporting the NIL the way she has. I think we've given her a lot of credit for that, and she deserves a lot of credit for it. There's no question about it. But I think back at that time that you were mentioning, there was some criticism warranted, and she has responded in a positive manner, and we were reaping the results of that.
Yeah, when we were offering the criticism, her basketball team was in, despair. Yeah, we couldn't even recognize the basketball team.
Football program was not in too good shape either.
Football program was the worst program in power football over a 3-year period of time.
Yeah.
The baseball program had lost its head coach. There was behind-the-scenes squabbling that led to the departure of the baseball coach. There was reason for criticism. But to James's point, look, she's over the last 12 months has had the Midas touch. And we
Yes.
got to transition
Yeah.
into basketball. I understand Butler beat UVA. I understand that Butler, the physicality of Butler overwhelmed the University of Virginia. Still, Virginia basketball and Renee Pettifer, this is for you. There's a lot of promise there. They beat a good Northwestern team. Virginia played poorly against Butler. They could not shoot the ball, and they could have won that contest. And Butler's a damn good team.
Yeah, they really didn't shoot the ball that well against Northwestern either. Early, they came alive finally, and but yeah, they started slow in both games and had their lulls. But and Butler is a good team. Butler's the best team that Virginia has faced. There's no question about it. And I don't know that they'll play a whole lot of teams better than Butler this year, to tell you the truth. They had really quick guards. The Bizjack kid scored 25 points. Was hard to stop.
He was awesome.
Michael Jai, the 6'7" forward, had 17 points, made 7 of 14 field goals, had 14 rebounds, and he took it to Grunlow. He was quicker, faster, stronger. Kind of exposed some warts there, but he was an extremely. I don't know. They'll see too many more guys like him, that athletic at that size, this season. But Butler was very good. They had a great game plan. Thad Matta has been around the block a time or two, so he had a good plan. It didn't help that Testa Ritter got his brains knocked out and was no call earlier in the game. I thought the officiating, Virginia had the same set of officials for both games, and I thought some of the worst officiating I've seen in years. I could say that. They can't find me, but I'm sure Ryan Odom would probably agree. He got a technical foul for DeRitter was called for a travel on one end, and then Butler came back and traveled right in front of him, I think, and there was no call. And he lost it, and I don't blame him. I was surprised that he was able to restrain himself that long. And Thad Matta was all over the officials all night.
Yeah.
Or afternoon, rather. But Butler is a good basketball team. And the thing about this tournament, Jerry, was that he could have scheduled a couple of cupcakes or had some other kind of gone to a tournament, exotic tournament somewhere, but it was close by. Gave Virginia fans a chance to go see it, but the objective was to get better and to learn about his team. And I think playing these two teams, both very good basketball teams, showed them a lot that they need to improve on and work on. And that's what coaches strive for this time of year, is to find to have their weaknesses exposed so they can work on them and try to build those into strengths. And I'm sure that's how they're going to use this tournament.
Very well said. I'll give the viewers and listeners some statistics here. Virginia shot 30% from bonus sphere. Virginia shot 47% from the free throw line. Virginia had 6 assists and 9 turnovers. And Virginia was in this contest.
Yeah, they still had a chance, even though they hadn't played great. And Butler tried everything they could to take DeRitter and Chance Mallory out of the game, even though they both ended up scoring in double figures. But they weren't as effective as they were in the Northwestern game when they were unstoppable. And Thad Matta just wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah.
He was going to make other guys beat him, and they nearly did. I mean, Malik Thomas had a great game, 9 of 17 for 24 points. Kari White, 5 of 7, 14 points, hit 4 three-pointers. So it kind of stretched things out over the lineup, but our guy Ugo had 8 blocks There's twice he had 2 blocks in a row, back to back, on the same possession.
That guy looks like an NBA player to me.
I think he'll get a shot.
He's not offensively polished, but he hasn't played a lot of basketball.
Yeah, and he moves so well.
He's so fluid for that size.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And such a good jumper, and he's so, like, coordinated and fluid. I mean, I get the offense is not polished, but good night. For a man of that size and weight to move like he's moving gracefully, few people can do that.
Yeah, no question. I was totally impressed with him, and I think he's just going to get better and better.
How about Chance Mallory starting the second half?
Chance Mallory is a friend of mine. Sat with beside an NBA scout and at one of the games, and he asked the guy. He said, "Who are you?" He asked the scout. He said, "Who are you here to see?" And the scout looked at him like he had 3 heads, and he said, "Who do you think?" And he was talking about DeRitter. He wanted to look at DeRitter, and then in the same conversation, he said, "And Chance Mallory is unbelievably quick." He says, "That guy's, I can't believe he's a freshman."
Yeah.
And he doesn't play like a freshman.
No.
So Chance Mallory has got stardom written all over him.
Is Chance Mallory your starting point guard this year?
They're a different team with him at the point. He's so dynamic, so quick, so aggressive, has the complete game.
He had 34 minutes to Dalen Hall's 11.
Yeah, well, and Hall was in foul trouble. But I think Ryan Odom is, at least for now, is going to continue to start Dallin Hall because of his experience, and he likes the energy that Chance brings off the bench. It's like sending one of Elon Musk's rockets into the game when he comes off the bench, and most people don't have an answer for it. And if things are bogged down, they're not going to stay bogged down for long.
I totally agree with your analysis. Chance Mallory this team is a different team when Chance Mallory is on the floor. He brings a mentality of someone that can score at the point guard position, where Hall just is not looking to score. Oftentimes on offense, the defenses realize that Hall's not looking to score, and they're sagging that defender somewhere else. Hall's defender somewhere else. Point of concern I have, and it's early in the season. What are we, 6 games in? Is Mallory's free throw shooting?
It'll get better.
Yeah, I think it'll get better because his stroke is so smooth and pure, and you see it from downtown. But for a guy who's going to have the ball in his hands, he's the point guard. That's got to be an 80% clip.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Comments continue to come in. Anything else? Yep. Oh, you have a press conference?
I do.
Oh, my goodness. I completely forgot. I thought it was moved to it's not afternoon?
No, the coordinators.
Oh, the corner. Okay, I apologize.
We usually do them on Wednesday.
Jerry Ratcliffe, ladies and gentlemen, has got I've made him late to the press conference. I apologize. That's sincerely my fault. Olivia Branch, we'll close with this. How about this? My weekly sports education, the Jerry and Jerry Show. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Thank you. Same to you guys and everybody out there.
Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe is literally going to be speeding to the press conference thanks to me. So long, everybody. Thank you kindly for watching the Jerry and Jerry Show. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Take care. Hootie, I sincerely thought it was this.
That's all right. I probably gave you that.